Welcome back after what was a comparatively short break between games 1 and 2 of the IeSF 2013 World Championship third place match. It's Spain versus versus Denmark. Ooh, yeah. Oh, European geography, not my strength at 9 in the morning, but it's versus Denmark. I knew I was going to mess that up one day. We've got the Netherlands coming later today against Korea in our grand finals, but Spain, after falling a little bit behind in the early goings of that game, managed to swing it well back in their favour and end up taking game number 1 against a different composition that was played by the Danish team.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't want to blame the competition. It was a solid comp that didn't have too many issues, and we saw earlier on, before they fell too far behind, that when executed properly, it could be very powerful. However, there's just a couple of decision-making calls and a couple of positioning issues that really set DK behind and gave Spain the game. So, I mean, we could see identical picks again, to be completely honest, and it could still easily go to DK.
And one thing we won't be seeing again in this game, however, is Zed. Most of the bans are fairly similar to the previous game, but this time they don't want Spain to pick up that Zed, which has allowed Spain to first pick Aatrox, which was the champion that was not banned in the last game. And we're going to see a return to something that's a little bit more standard on this 3.12 patch, and that is Corki, which the Danes will be giving over to Gamble, and we've seen him playing Corki a couple of times already this tournament, so I'm pretty sure that that's a little bit more of what Spain would have expected when they were doing their preparations for this best of 3.
Yeah, exactly. Those are much more high priority picks than the Urgot that they saw before. They do grab themselves that Thresh again, and I mean, rightly so. It did very well from the last time. It was great in the 2v1. We did see some clutch hooks on the chases towards the end of the game, allowing them to pick up an extra couple of kills on retreating champions. And he is just an all-round great chap.
One thing we have seen over the last couple of days when they've been picking Corki, and it's something that we won't see in this game now that Twitch has been locked in, was that response with Caitlyn, where you're able to zone Corki out in the early game fairly well. Corki does manage to get back into it a little bit more, but you can put enough pressure to really take them back, and we might see another of these Corki Leona lanes, which is so good at locking down pairing in lane, and then just shredding through with that Phosphorus Bomb, Gatling Gun, and then the Rocket Barrage that comes out of Corki. So a lot of damage in that lane and a lot of crowd control as well, and the kill potential across the whole of the Danish team looks a lot stronger this game when you take into account that it looks like it's going to be Elise jungle alongside Lee Sin as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for that Thresh Twitch combo, to be completely honest, this time around. They would not fare too well against Corki and Leona at all. I do obviously suspect there'll be a lane swap because of that. I don't expect it to see a 2v2 from the start. But at the same time, they are looking like they're going to be up against Godbro's Lee Sin this time around. So it's still not the easiest lane for them.
Jarvan has been locked in alongside Lissandra, so I guess that puts us in a situation where it's going to be Aatrox top rather than the jungle that we've seen him in a little more commonly. Roldo looking for the final pick. I would imagine this will be
it's
the
very possible
mid-lane.
To see Jarvan in the top lane too, if we're completely honest. That's not a guarantee here, but yeah, I know what you mean. The strength of pre-6 ganks coming out of Jarvan, incredibly powerful, and he is more commonly seen in that jungle, but he can get very powerful if you give him free farm in a solo lane.
Yeah, I agree. It has happened a couple of times, but I think, as you were saying there, his strength's kind of lended to that jungle position, and of course, with Gragas open this late into the picks and bans, Mikau would go for the Gragas. We've seen him put out good few games, and even in the last game where the Danish teams wouldn't be victorious, still had some great ultimates with a lot of damage that comes out from Gragas. So Santorin and Nigodbro have kept us on our toes a little bit during Champion Select, swapping around at the last minute, so we'll see whether they do that again. I kind of am expecting maybe to see Elise in the jungle rather than Lee Sin, but both are very very versatile in the fact that they can do both roles. So really, it's just one of those things that we'll wait until the last minute and see exactly where they go.
So here's something that I find enjoyable, to be honest. I like the fact that you can last second swap some of these champions and mind game people, and you have to predict who you're laning against and get your setups ready for it. Like, there we go, Saturn and GoPro just swapping around. But in the LCS, there's a 20-second buffer ruling. They're not allowed to do that. If you swap within that last 20 seconds, you get punished. I don't like that. I like that you can swap at the last second. I like the constant maybes and the constant uncertainty that is brought on by that effect.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that if you can mind game your opponents into maybe putting a couple of mastery points in a different place, make them think that they need that extra couple of points of armor when in fact they need magic resist, it might get you the teeniest of advantages, and maybe even some significant advantages in the very early game of that laning phase. If you're prepared to face a champion like Lee Sin and it turns out that you're actually facing Elise, that's a very different play style and a very different source of damage from the champions. But I think that's just one of those things that, for consistency's sake, maybe in LCS they want to ensure that it's, I don't want to say fairest because that makes it seem unfair.
It's for production in the LCS because they cut away before the champ select is over, and they don't want it to then change and then come back afterwards and be different. That's why. But it doesn't stop me disliking it.
Well, something that I am liking right now is the fact that we are already into game number 2 here between Spain and Denmark for the second game of the best of 3 to decide third place here at the IeSF World Championship. Spain do lead 1-0, which I kind of have to be honest, I hadn't expected Spain to maybe have that kind of decision making to snap themselves back into that last game. That sounds a little bit derogatory to Spain, but in their performances that we saw in the past couple of days, Denmark was certainly looking a lot more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, Spain, of course, they're here in the third place game. They're by no means a bad team, but they didn't seem quite so coherent. These are not all 5 people playing together all the time. These are some cases slightly mixed squads because, of course, the nationality ruling. You don't always play with people on the same from the same nationality when we're in Europe. There's enough mixtures going around these US servers. But for that reason, they've taken a couple of days to get a feel for each other, get back in and play a bit more solidly as a squad, I think. Maybe the reasoning. That, and of course, just being at events helps people bond. But as a result, the cause, the coherency, the teamwork that came out of that last game was a step above for Spain. But now we are looking at both duos heading towards the bottom side of the map. This may be a little bit worrying for the Spanish bottom lane.
Yeah, and this time we haven't had those deep wards out from either team. There were a lot of wards placed in the very early game last time, so quite surprising to see neither team going for that, but they do start with their respective defensive starts. Blue for Santorin, red for Frederick. And yeah, I think we haven't seen Spain since Friday, so they've obviously changed a fair amount since then with regards to their comfortability playing in this kind of setting and playing alongside each other. Fast Respawn has quite a lot of early damage there out from Gamble in that bottom lane, and you got to kind of assume that that's going to happen again and again in this 2v1 lane. Meanwhile, at the top, there's an exchange going back and forth between Godbro and Aatrox, but of course, remember, Aatrox will have that passive, so if he can get Godbro pretty low and start forcing him to trade, they may even be able to pick that kill up without really trading too much away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of damage comes out that Lee Sin early, so he can do that kind of pressure, but he's got to be careful now because, of course, we've hit that timer where Jarvan could be around. You see a very aggressive push, as you mentioned, from Gamble and Roldo, allows them to hit level 2 pretty quickly and put some pressure onto Twitch Thresh, and of course have them fight the tower for CS. We're a little bit unlucky with the way the lane has landed right now. They can keep pushing and they will try and get it under turret soon enough because they know the junglers should be on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Godbro's staying just far enough away so that Frederick can't use that Dragon Lance and get into place, but the Dark Flight will lock Godbro down for a little bit. Here comes the attempt at the knockup. Will manage to secure it. Flash forced out from Godbro. There's a flash forward. Actually, 2 flashes forward. Will make sure they get that kill. Not entirely sure both were needed, but Santorin here might be able to lock them down. Frederick will get caught by the cocoon. Santorin forced to repel out from this one for a second. Didn't choose to go to the minions, so puts himself right back in between the Spanish duo. Will force the flash away. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, it's actually backfired for Gamble and Roldo, as it looked like they went to go aggressive there, and Leona pays the price.
That was really nice play from that Thresh and Twitch combo in the bottom lane, pulling the owner in under turret. She was a little bit too exposed and flaying her back even further. And that massive burst of damage from the expungent attack combo from Twitch, enough to finish her off. Godbro, while yes, the double flashes may have been a slight overkill, they kind of needed to. There'd been so much time wasted by Jarvan standing up in there waiting for that to happen in that top bush that he needed to get that first blood, or he would have been a long way behind.
Yeah, of course, in the early game, expending time without getting any benefit is not what a jungler would be looking for. And that's a lot of flashes burned all around the map, actually, when you take a look at the cooldowns. So really just the mids and AD carries with those escapes available. So I would assume we're going to see a repeat performance here out of Jarvan as he is heading towards that top lane. They still do have the Aatrox passive, so that again is another tool. It means that they can go fairly deep in towards Godbro's tower should they choose to.
Yep. He's going to keep that pressure up, and they are in fact bringing Jarvan around again. Still no wards there from Godbro, and he's in trouble.
Yeah, he dodges the knockup, but the only place to go is away from his own tower. Godbro with no flash already consigns himself to dying here. And that's another kill picked up. 3-0 here for Spain. I'm wondering whether they've broken the morale slightly in the early game, although Roldo will go in. Nice flay back from Medina will keep them from following up on that one.
Was a nice try. He couldn't quite pull it off though. We did get a very early barrier pop from Twitch. I like that. There's no reason to save barrier until the very last second. If you want to stay as high health as possible, you know they're about to unload a lot of burst damage on you. Pop it quickly.
Yeah, it did keep him alive with plenty of health, and that means that he's not even had to back there. We'll just continue farming away while the rest of his team up in that top lane will have pushed onto the tower. Dark Flight goes down. Can they lock Godbro down? Godbro's having a difficult time in this game, trying to get away. Is he able to? Of course, that Aatrox passive we talked about, but with Santorin here, the Spanish team are trapped between two towers. And Mikau is already on his way up. Repel doesn't quite manage to get him in range for the cocoon, although it was a good dodge there by Aatrox.
They're trying to pick on that poor Lee Sin, reminding me of the poor little Cho'Gath that could. As the bot lane, we just see another stun from Leona.
Yeah, Twitch is forced back behind the tower, and he can't quite land the kill there, but this time Twitch will be forced away. No barrier to keep himself safe that time. And there's a lot of activity in the top lane. Fast Drag was looking to try and catch on to Santorin, but again, so much emphasis being put on this top lane tower. They really don't want Godbro getting into this game at all.
No, and I mean, until he hits level 6, now he's going to be pretty far behind. There's not too much he can do, and because of his level disadvantage, he can't duel anyone. Lee Sin's strength does come out of his general levels and from scaling very well with base numbers, so they keep him as low level as possible. Those base numbers are going to be low as well, so he's not going to be anywhere near as impactful as he could be.
Junglers headed to their respective starting buffs once again. So we're into that point where we kind of get that reset on the game. You see them pick up the buffs and then head likely again, as we've seen so much focus up in that top lane. Aatrox wants to try and get some damage to this turret. He's going to try and ignore Godbro for as long as he can, but Godbro just has a little too much damage for Aatrox to think about just taking that tower down without without taking damage from him. Will force the passive already. Godbro looking for the kick. Maybe could have got it. He's not level 6 yet. I think he was trying to get level 6 off the minions, but he's a very long way away from it. So he was positioning himself for the Dragon's Rage. I kind of assumed it was coming, but he gets a Cataclysm under the tower. Ice Shard will take him very low. They will take down a tower.
Very much so. Picking on him again, but picks themselves up the first tower of the game too. So we'll wait and see how they use this advantage now. I'd like to see them rotate down and go for a very quick dragon for another 1,000 gold advantage. And, well, again, with the calls they've been making... Oh, Santorin's gone. With the calls they've been making, Spain are in a very good position to take this game in a very, very short space of time.
Yeah, they're looking to push onto this inner tower already, and again, Lee Sin's still only level 5, and there's 3 members of the Spanish team all above level 7 up in this top lane. Gragas will be enough to deter this as he does have the explosive cask available. But the Spaniards got themselves a good gain there with that tower and a good few kills on Godbro in the top lane.
Yeah. When you look at the bottom lane, you see Thresh and Twitch are strong enough now to just duel Corki Leona straight up. Corki Leona have a bit of a problem. Yes, they're strong early. Yes, they have a lot of burst as a combo. But when they've got when they don't have enough to get through Twitch, and he can turn on them and start out damaging them, they're going to have a very bad day, because that Twitch is starting to get strong, and we all know how hard Twitch can snowball.
Yeah, Twitch, one of the better champions at doing that, and you can see he's chased Roldo back behind the tower. Centaurian was still around there, so with the wards around, they'll be able to see Zigumad. I believe they can, yeah, they can see him recalling from this one. I don't know whether they can cross the ground to prevent him, but seeing that allows them a different advantages now. They know they have the numbers game for sure at this dragon.
DK actually getting their first straight, very nicely done. As the pings coming out from Spain, they realise that's happening. They obviously have nothing they can do but to let it go. Does bring the goal gap back to within 2,000, which is a little bit less than ideal as far as Spain are concerned. They could have stopped that Drake if they just had more vision and had been more aware of it. But as it is, they're going to make the most of knowing where their jungler is, their jungler being on the bottom half of the map, and they're going to dive the poor Lee Sin again.
Oh god, bro, it was really smart play from Frederick there. He actually waited around in the jungle, assuming that Lee Sin would come back to lane, just as he did, and great timing, great sense there from Frederick. And that is going to be another tower getting taken down for Spain. An inner tower going down at 11 minutes.
There is another tower. Oh, great hook from Thresh in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he will use the box as well to try and lock Gamble and Roldo in place. Ziggurat is taking a lot of damage now. Ignite was ticking as well. Takes him low. Medina manages to finish off Corki here. Flay doesn't quite disrupt Roldo, but he's about to flash into a warded bush. That's not where you want to go, and Expunge will pick up the kill for Twitch.
Really nice fight. Yes, Twitch had to flash and barrier to get away from Corki, but with the spray and spray still on, he landed another little bit of damage onto him, and Thresh was able to finish him off with his own auto attack. Picking up a double kill for that pairing as a combo should help them get that bottom turret too.
And you brought up the game we saw the other day with Choga. Actually, Twitch will overstay his welcome. That gets Godbro back into this game, but will also reset his gold value. So, might not be the best unless he can start snowballing off that. But you brought up the Cho'Gath game that we were watching on Friday, and it did somewhat feel like a repeat of that. 102 CS and 203 on Aatrox. His lane counterpart, 47 CS now. 1 and 4 after picking up that kill on Twitch. So Godbro has a lot of work to be done if he wants to get himself back into this game.
Godbro played a lot of top Lee Sin. I'm surprised that went quite so badly. And I mean, he played a lot of top lane in general, so not having control over that part of the jungle, not having control over the entrances and knowing when the ganks would come in, very, very unusual for him.
Yeah, it is something that I wouldn't expect out of Godbro, but I think everybody has games where perhaps the opponents just manage to outposition and maybe have those mind games from the very early happenings. So we've seen Players of every caliber have games where maybe they've started out a little shaky, so I'm not too worried about Godbro. As you said, he's played a lot of top Lee Sin and a lot of top in general, so he knows what he has to do to get back into this game, and that was an important roam, I feel, down on to pick up that kill on Twitch and help them get that bottom tower.
Let's hope so for Godbro's sake. It's a little bit depressing, so we say, to see something that could be as strong as Lee Sin and as powerful as Lee Sin shut down so hard. I mean, he's still 2 levels down on Aatrox, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw Aatrox all-inning him once he hits level 11.
But I think that's smart strategy out of the Spanish team. I think they quickly realized how powerful it could have become. Rightly spent a lot of their focus with the early game from Frederick up in that top lane, and they've done a good job stemming it, and it means that they're now able to pick up things across the map because the Danish team are desperately trying to cover as much as they can in that top lane. And there's the engage at level 11. Godbro manages to get himself away, but he is only still level 8.
4 towers to 1. DK did pick up a Drake, so they got 1,000 gold from that. But it does look like Corki is in trouble.
Yeah, will be forced the Valkyrie away. There's a Cataclysm smartly used after the Valkyrie. Still has Flash though. Will use it at the very last second, but it's not quite enough to keep him alive past the poison. There's a little too much damage before the Flash. There's a second kill for Twitch. This one onto Leona, and now Lissandra forced inside the the Thresh's box from their own team meant that she thought she could get away, but the Flay comes backwards. Twitch still at the back of this fight is actually going to try and get away by recalling in the bush, but was not able to. That's a double kill for Elise.
Blind stun, if I remember correctly, giving him that kill. I think the eyes had worn off and Twitch was in stealth. Through to the bush and it happened to land to reveal him.
And Godbro's trying to take out Aatrox, who still has his passive. Nice flash out after the repel, but Elise was able to close a little of the distance. Not able to catch, though.
Very nice try and a very nice escape. Picking up another tier 2 turret in that mid lane. Very, very powerful. Again, though, in Spain, split pushing. It's that good control while the rest of his team is in another lane fighting and keeping people busy. Then he can go and take another objective from there. And with Dragon about to respawn, I suspect he may do it again.
Yeah, and there's actually a big difference, not only between Aatrox and the rest of the Danish team, but between him and his own team as well. The closest to him are the 2 carries of Lissandra and Twitch, and he's still a good few hundred gold in the lead from those kills and the extra farm. He's very well farmed into this game, and really Aatrox is one of those champions that if he gets stalled out in the early game for long enough, his effect really does start to dwindle on the game. But a start like this, having the Blade of the Ruined King with that Kindle Gem as well as the Ninja Tabi, is going to set him up for a very good mid-game here on a champion like Aatrox.
And here is the next Drake. So DK are closing in. They have got 5 people in this half of the map, but Leon is still a fair way off, and to be honest, that dragon is dead too quickly. Twitch is now into stealth and is looking to see who he could perhaps scout out. It looks like Corki is exposed.
And Glacial Path puts Lissandra over the wall, but Aatrox has a lot of health, not enough to survive through that. Will get dropped into the Bloodwell, but the follow-up from his team is finally there. Cataclysm will lock 3 members of the Danish team in place, but here comes the counter-engage. Cocoon did land, and they're managing to catch onto this one. Maybe a little bit of overextension in the early goings of this fight. The flash comes forward. There's a Sonic Wave. Flay tries to keep Godbro from picking up that kill, but it's not enough.
Spain thought they were further ahead than they are. Overextended very hard, very split up. So Aatrox going incredibly deep, and he was dead before the rest of his team could even follow up. Yes, he had his passive and he came back up again, but he does not last long after his passive, considering the damage coming out of DK right now. And to be honest, the majority of that fight, Godbro wasn't even there to start with. He came in late and mopped up the low health champions that were left at the end. Spain did have the numbers advantage in theory, but they were way too spread out and they couldn't all fight as a cohesive 5 unit, and they paid the price. They still have a gold lead, but another fight like that, and that's not going to hang around much longer.
Yeah, and we've reached another one of these points where the tail end of that fight, the Danish team picked up some important items. You see Corki has finished that Trinity Force, and Godbro, I think a little earlier on, just before that fight, managed to get that Tiamat, which I would imagine will go towards the Ravenous Hydra, as we've seen on so many Lee Sins when played that top lane split push kind of style. And that means that the next time they do decide to fight, if Godbro is able to be in another lane, he will get that pushing very quickly, and especially when faced with a big stack of creeps like that, you saw how quickly Lee Sin dealt with him.
Yeah, the thing with Tiamat, though, doesn't really offer too much in way of team fights. He's going to be able to push the lanes pretty quickly now. He's going to be able to clear waves, yes, but until he completes the Ravenous Hydra, it's not really going to make him much stronger in the fights as they go on. He gets a bit more base AD, yes, but without that lifesteal, he's going to drop down pretty rapidly anyway.
Once again, we see Mikau having a good game on Gragas. Has managed to farm his way to be the highest farm in the game. Has that Athene's Unholy Grail with the needlessly large rod. I wonder whether we'll see the Rabadons or the Zonyas. This time I would imagine the fact that he hasn't gone Seekers first to stack it may be a slight indication that it may be the Rabadons, but again, it is a position where he could build either, and maybe he just had the gold for the needlessly large rod, so decided to pick that up. But Frederick may have been caught out there as they do switch their attention onto Aatrox. There's the Glacial Prison, which will lock a couple of them in place. Of course, the Godbro is trying to follow up with more kills here. He's chasing on towards Aatrox. Ignite is ticking, forcing him back away. There's another kill on to Mikau. We'll pick one up. And just as housekeeping, it's Frozen Tomb, not Glacial Prison. Glacial Prison is Sejuani's ultimate.
Yeah. So again, nice attempt by Spain, winning a very, very deep, but split again a little bit. They were picked off one by one. It was really good focus from the DK side, and well, tanks died very, very quickly. Aatrox was off to one side and didn't have passive, so he wasn't really tanking much at that point. He was trying to do what damage he could, and it wasn't too much, to be completely honest. And Jarvan, yes, he went EQ, he made that initiate, he went quite deep, he landed that ultimate, but that was all so deep that as soon as he'd done so, he was dead.
Now Spain will look to try and establish some control around the Baron. We saw, I believe it was in the last game, Denmark got good control when they were on blue side of the Baron, but would inevitably end up having it stolen away by Zigumad, who managed to get a great set of achievements in the last game with taking that Baron away and getting... I think he even ended that game with very few deaths, if any, if I remember correctly.
I think it was flawless, yeah.
I think he may have had one in the very last fight, because it was actually the minions that
yes,
take down.
Yes, he got ace at the end, didn't he?
But yeah, it was a very strong performance in the last game from him, but I think this time we maybe won't see the Spaniards slip up on that Baron control and force it into the hands of their AD carry to try and take that one away.
So, that Spanish decision making, it's there. It's what they showed us in the last game, but right now they just can't win the fights that are being caused by it. Dragon up in another minute. The DK squad pinged it. They're making their way across towards there, looking for the control of the vision. Spain were up by 4,000 gold at one point, but they've lost a couple of engagements, and it's now closing back in.
And now
we want to see another fight, and look, they know they can't take this fight. They have to back away immediately, and DK want to chase them all the way out.
Yeah, I was going to say Spain may have been cut off by the Danish team here, but it looks like both teams are trying to angle around, maybe looking to engage this. It will be Godbro that will signal the beginning of this one. There's a good few ultimates being used to start this one off. Gamble is on the side trying to lay damage down, but Twitch is putting down a lot of damage from the main part of this fight. Fast Dragon manages to dodge the Sonic Wave. There's a double kill already from Twitch. They will get another kill here to make that a 4-for-1 trade overall. The Spaniards managed to kite that one back to a good position for them.
That was much better for Spain. Much better for Spain. They managed to position a whole lot better. They got a much better focus onto the important targets. You see that Corki died pretty rapidly in and amongst that one. Godbro couldn't get deep. Twitch stayed alive and he has full health and did all his damage, completely unloading a full spray and pray onto the very grouped up DK team. They kited them back, they pulled them into a choke point, they used the bush vision and abused it, and were much better at cleaning up that fight.
Mikau has managed to survive these fights though, which is another consistent part of his Gragas play that we've seen. It will indeed be going towards that Rabadon's death cap. As we see, he's picked up that blasting one to go alongside the needlessly large rod, and again, big items finished. Twitch had that Infinity Edge a little while before that fight, now pays it up with a Zeal and that crit cloak, so looks like he's going towards that Phantom Dancer. We saw him build that in the last game as well, going the very standard Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer and last Whisper combination. Spain, however, will take this opportunity to take down the dragon. Fast Dragon not exactly making it quite over the wall with that with the claw, but they take the dragon anyway. That really is what they were looking for there.
Another big part of that last team fight, which is really going to help the Spanish side out, is Zigmund got a 500 gold spree off of Santorin, and Medien got 432 gold off Godbro. Now, yes, he's a support, it's not ideal, but 432 gold extra on anyone is always going to help. And he in fact used it to buy those distortion boots upgrade for his mobility, so he's got more flashes. He's going to be able to land some fancy plays abusing that flash and that hook, and we've already seen how that Thresh can really initiate fights.
Wood jump comes forward from Knee Godbro, but he just eats one of those walls of the box and pushes him very low on health from engaging Fast Dragon there. There's a lot of health left on Spain, but they're not quite grouped for a fight here. Looks like a couple of them want to go for it. They're not really in position to do so. They just established control over this Baron area, and now maybe we'll look to just have their lanes in mid and top pushing, but they do have to be aware that bottom lane is coming in towards their base, and Aatrox might be caught out here in this top lane. Tempest and the cripple has been used. There's the follow-up with that resonating strike. Gamble used Valkyrie earlier, now forced to flash to Rocket Barrage, but does pick up the kill from it with Aatrox without the passive, and now Spain are forced away from the Baron.
The control that Spain had after taking Godbro so low and forcing him out, completely gone there by overextending on Aatrox. Honestly, schoolboy errors sort of thing. That is not the kind of mistake you need to be making, or not the kind of mistakes they should be making at this level of play. Should have easily seen that coming. They had a lot of wards around the area. They knew they were on that side of the map. There was no reason to be pushing that lane so hard. They were just greedy for creeps.
Yeah, the Danish were trying to bait the rest of the Spanish team into the Baron area with maybe forcing them to attempt to ward after taking the wards away, but they will finally look to rotate and get something from that advantageous position. They do pick up a tower for themselves, and we'll head back home. We'll see what exactly they end up picking up from that. Looks like Corki is fairly close to that last Whisper, as he does have the gold. There we go. We'll finish it up to go alongside the Trinity Force. And the Rabadons was finished earlier on 2 Gragas.
So some big important items being finished up there. That pressure allowing, or the relief of pressure because of their kill on Aatrox, allowing them some time to base, allowing them some time to shop and spend their gold without the risk of losing too many objectives, and of course getting that final outer tier 1 turret. Just gives them a bit more room to roam around the map and roam around the Baron area, which is going to become a pivotal part of the game now.
The Danish team looking to catch out Frederick. Solar Flare was used, and now they're going to lock him down. Will pick up the kill, doesn't quite get over that wall. And now with the smite not available, we'll see whether the Danes rotate around to this Baron and maybe look to take that down. When they're a team that we've seen that are not afraid to make a call like this.
And very much so, but last time it backfired them, and they know that. They're playing this very, very safe. There is an Oracles up on Aatrox now, so they're still losing vision of the map. They haven't engaged the Baron yet, and they're just waiting for that opportunity, and another catch, and they do find Aatrox.
Yeah, there's a big follow-up from Lee Sin. Will hold him in place, takes that Bloodwell passive, and drops him with Mikau, picking that one up to go to a rampage. Now 10 kills he's been involved with, and hasn't yet dropped a death, and that's impressive play out of Gragas. However, Spain may be looking to position around, because Zigumad has actually found himself an exposed inhibitor here, and his attack speed is fairly high with that Phantom Dancer. Will it be enough? He's trying to kite around, he's given up, but what it has done is pulled the Danes away from that Baron area where maybe they would have had the position to do it. He will end up falling to Gragas. That's another kill there, on to that 5-0-6 now.
There is no situation where he was ever running out of that base. I honestly think he should have just sat there and killed the inhib. He would have probably got it just as he died, going by the way he got through his health bar there. That would have been an amazing play as far as the Spanish team were concerned. Getting that inhib would have been great for them. As it was, all they really did was lose Twitch for a Baron delay.
Yeah,
yeah, okay, Baron delay is nice, but I mean, we know that they didn't, but DK weren't actually doing it again at that point either. They were still very scared. They still got their mind set on the last game where they lost it, and because of the time they wasted killing the Aatrox, Jarvan had respawned with his smite. So they were tentative of that as well.
That is all it really was just a delay. I mean, either inevitably the Danes are going to try and take this Baron. You can see bot lane, oh god, they caught Frederick again. This is deja vu, they pick him off. Fast Dragon now caught out as well, forced to Zhonya's here in the middle of the Danes. Can't quite get the Ring of Frost off to follow that one up. Dragon's Rage kick will knock a couple of the Spaniards into each other. There's a double kill for Corgi here. Gamble starting to get things rolling once again in these fights, and that goes in favour of the Danes.
Spanish guys really need to stop themselves getting caught. As twice Frederick has done that, and it's gonna slowly just throw the game away from him. Now, that was much better in terms of reaction from the Spanish side, which is why they managed to pick up a few kills on the retreat. I mean, they maybe almost had a couple more if Thresher just dodged that last rocket and phosphorus bomb combo from Corki. Lee Sin was very, very low. Corki would have been nuked down by the members that were left alive, and Mikau was also very low, but still yet to die. But that was ultimately a catch. That was Spain getting caught out, and then they fought the fight, and they still managed to do a lot of damage from there. They're still very strong, but DK needs to stop being able to pick their fights. If Spain were to pick one, if all five of them were there, then they could easily come out on top. Now, we do see DK trying to sneak in the Baron. They've been spotted.
But it is 5v3 here. They were caught out there, and I don't think the Danes are quite aware of how far away Aatrox and Twitch are. They will be now as they spot it. Instant reaction now on to the rest of the Spanish team. Ooh, nice Dark Passage out from that. Mikau will, however, pick up the kill anyway. Picks himself up a double. As Fast Dragon is trying desperately to get out around the back after picking up Godbro. Yeah, I think he will be able to get out of this one, but maybe a counter-engage is on the cards from Spain as they're looking maybe to angle around. No, they're going to head for that inhibitor, I would imagine.
I'd like to think they are, especially as DK don't know, and DK are playing very, very tentative on their recalls. They could have got in and done that again, honestly, if they'd have just gone, because of how scared DK were with their recalls. But again, ultimately, they have stopped the Baron simply because of the, I want to say, inexperience here of the DK lineup, or the nerves. They are not doing these objectives. They're not taking the Barons after they're catching people. They're not making the pushes. And Spain is just toying with them. But it's not going to last forever. They need to stop getting caught.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier how fast Zigumad was taking that inhibitor down. This time he's got even more items and had Aatrox as well, who, if they were that desperate to take it down and they were really under the pressure of the Danish team, he does still have a Massacre ultimate, which had given him the extra attack speed. So, regardless of the regen that the inhibitor has gone through to make it full health, I really do feel like that could have been another one of those plays from Spain where they spot their opportunity and they grab it with both hands and really start maybe to close this game out from their small advantage.
Yeah, like I understand why they didn't, because they thought DK had all mass recalled. DK hadn't, which is obviously a mistake by them, and they're lucky it worked out. But it does look like they're going to spot each other. Oh, great hook!
Catch Gamble with a brilliant hook. The box was used as well, but an explosive cast is going to decimate a lot of the Spanish team. Roldo now under pressure. Zikimad is getting free damage off from the back with the spray and pray. They've already taken down 2, and this will be the time that they will push on towards this inhibitor. There's no way that the Danes can contest this.
No, much better. It was a great hook there from Thresh, which immediately made Corki just had to run for the hills. Okay, he didn't die, he stayed alive and had Mikau in support, but he couldn't hit the important targets on the Spanish lineup, and Twitch was there able to nuke through them.
Yeah, and another engagement as Fast Dragon manages to use their glacial path over the wall, and the Danish team may have gone from having their advantage at Baron earlier to starting to fall apart a little bit with these engagements. Spain finally stopped getting caught out and started catching their opponents in the last minute.
Exactly, there we go. Spain 4 as 5 on their terms. They came out on top, even with Mikau going godlike and legendary in amongst all there. Because all 5 members of Spain were there, because they had that Twitch in a very good position that he was untouchable, and because Thresh was doing a great job of catching that Corki out, they did come out on top, and they were able to take down an inhib and are now pressuring the tier 2 turret bot, but that will be all. They have to leave.
Yeah, although saying that Aatrox is going to go aggressive, that's a lot of damage that came down from Fast Dragon as Roldo now is forced away from that tower. They still have to be careful that there's not another counter engage, but Nigod has only just come back up, as has Gamble, so this will be another tower here for Spain. They're quite low on health though, so Santorin may look to get something if they continue to push, but Spain very wisely backing off now.
Well, they did have to leave, but then the DK team decided they were going to overextend a little bit. 2 free kills. One of which was another 500 bonus from Mikau going over to Frederick, and a 432 going to Zigmund Bro. So he's getting even stronger again. And, well, Spain back up to a 5,000 gold lead, now starting to head down towards that Baron Pit again to regain control of the area.
Yeah, and there are, you know, giving 11 kills to a champion is not always the best thing, but when you look at the champion it's on, I mean, it's only really a Vayne that would maybe scale harder than the Twitch scales when he's given this many kills. And 11 and 3 with 215 CS means his itemization is fairly good right now. Has himself an Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper alongside a Bilgewater Cutlass, and has managed to pick up the start of those defensive items as well. Spain will not go over the wall with that one. I'm kind of glad to see Lissandra not follow that one up, as that would have put her in a very bad position, but they can now play the waiting game with that inhibitor down. It means the bottom and top lanes will naturally start to push, which sadly will be phased out a little bit in Season 4. I don't know why I'm saying sadly. It kind of just made it a little easier to close out the game, but Spain and Denmark now doing the dance around this Baron.
Letting the lanes push, someone's got to go deal with it, especially that bottom lane. Spain are able to really push the Danish team back. It's forcefully sent to go over to the golems. We'll rotate around and go back towards the Baron pits. That bottom lane is very, very pushed.
Yeah, the cannon minion will die from that wave though, so I don't think it will quite get the tower yet, but unless they send somebody, it will ever so slowly push itself down. Spain are eating quite a few of the rocket barrage from Gamble as well as the barrels from Mikau, so they do have to be careful they don't get chipped. Of course, without that Baron, their regen isn't going to be as much as they'd like it to be, but they will go aggressive on towards Santorin. They might be caught out here as Mikau was forced out of the fight. There's a lot of damage coming down on the 3 members of the Danish team in the middle of that, and once again Zigmund is sat right at the back of the fight with the spray and pray ticking. 2 kills. There's another beautiful hook onto Gamble. Aatrox gets dropped low. They still have the passive, but I think that might be the game here for Spain.
Aggressive GG coming out from Fast Drag. It's a good fight again. When they did catch them slightly split, we had 3 members of DK down by the Wraith camp, and those 3 people then got very quickly nuked down by the AoE of Spain. Lissandra ult on top of them all, had them all very slowed and lowed down in amongst that. Then a great knock up from Aatrox knocked all 3 of them up. Twitch's spray and pray across the rest of them did a lot of damage before he switched onto the 2 targets in the mid lane, and was able to do a lot. But Godbro has found Zigmad in the jungle.
Yeah, he has, but Godbro actually got extra lifesteal off the red buff with that Ravenous Hydra and managed to out-sustain Twitch in a very nice position fight there for Godbro.
Very nice indeed. It was very close, but it was good all the same. And he did get a bonus 500 gold off of it for killing Twitch. Twitch has now completed his Banshee's Veil, however. And, well, as they couldn't get much more than, or anything, after that winning that fight.
Oh, the Danes have been caught out once again. Roldo will, however, use a Solar Flare, and here comes Godbro and Gamble to follow up on this one. Frederick and Fast Dragon are locked down, and actually from what was a catch for the Spaniards, they've got caught again. The inhibitor is now back up for the Danes. They've dealt with the majority of the super minions that were there. There is one about to make its way to the inhibitor, but they've caught out Aatrox again. Can they follow this one up? Bro will go in. Medina gets dropped very low, and the Danes, from what was that aggressive GG from Spain, now the Danes maybe are looking to be in a position that they might be able to earn their way back into this.
They very much can. You do see immediate recalls at the Baron because they've got to go and deal with that middle lane and that wave of super creeps that are on the inhibitor. Should be okay, should save its life. Yeah, they do easily enough, but the push was there. Now the Baron is back on to DK once again because Spain got caught. Twitch got caught in the Dragon. The Jarvan and Lissandra got caught at the Baron pit, and then Thresh again caught after warding the Baron. So again, just overextending ever so slightly. You need to underestimate the crowd control range, or overestimate, sorry, the crowd control range on DK. A long-range Leona ultimate followed up by Gragas Barrel can really offset anyone on the Spanish lineup. They need to stop that happening. They need to be the ones being aggressive. We saw what happens when they are making the plays and they're invading the jungle and they are forcing DK into positions that Spain want them to be in, and then they can take the fight. Spain come out on top with very smooth, easy team fight victories with 4 or 5 kills. But the way they're going right now, the way they're staying so split and letting DK the ones venture around and explore and find people, they're the ones that are coming out behind.
Oh, hook onto Godbro with the box as well. This might be the team fight that they were looking for. Once again, Zigmad in the back with the spray and pray going. There's the double kill. That's the team fight that you're talking about. And Aatrox, even though he's low, is able to chase onto this one because he did have the Bloodwell passive. So managed to come back alive on that one. And now the Spaniards are going to take down that inhibitor once again.
As I said, Spaniards find the fights, they start them, they initiate on their terms, and they come out incredibly strong. They're going to grab themselves another inhibitor. They won't be able to get anything more, I don't imagine, because the wave clear between Corki and Gragas would be too strong. But that was a Baroned up DK team, and Spain initiated on it, and they destroyed them.
Yeah, and that's just that team fight when you've got so many kills stacked on a Twitch and so much peel for him. You look at the amount of crowd control that is on the Spanish team, from Thresh being able to land these hooks. There's actually Gamble picks himself up a kill and will back straight out of that one. He got a good pick off there, and that's due to the fantastic warding from the Danish team, actually, even when a little behind, as it's not often that you see an inhibitor down and this many good wards out on the map for a team.
So, again, Lissandra getting caught on the retreat, not running as fast as she could, or not leaving as fast as she should have, and Jarvan getting killed almost getting killed alongside her, or at least just not reacting. Maybe they could have saved her life if he'd have EQ'd onto that Corki the second they realised he was there. As I like DK to push up this mid lane because that Lissandra is a big part of their wave clear, and again, Freddy just 2 exposure that his team gets caught out.
It's a dangerous game though as the Dark Flight comes in, and once again Zigmad is unleashing all of his damage from the back, not able to pick up quite as many kills yet, but from what was DK finding a catch once again, Spain were able to just about regroup and maybe get more off this. I don't want to say too much as if Frederick's being forgiven here, but that was a bit of a lucky catch there. to get
Whereas,
themselves
he
into a
got caught.
position.
If he had died, that would have been it. He got lucky because he was caught in his own base, so his team was there to support him. But if that had been anywhere else on the map, that would have been catastrophic.
And it might not be over yet, as the rest of the Spanish team were looking to chase on. Aatrox actually was potentially caught out by Gamble, but they will both back off towards their respective bases, heal up, and look to re-establish some control on the map, because those wards have timed out since they were placed. And we've seen good warding out from both sides, but I'd like to see Spain maybe take a little bit more time to de-ward a few areas, as there are still quite a lot of wards getting out there for the Danes. The Oracles is now on to Thresh, so they're going to de-ward the important area, which is Baron right now, but it's not due up for a little while yet.
Yeah, we're looking at about 2.5, 3 minutes before Baron will come back up again. 2 minutes on the Dragon, but that's not really worth much at this point in the game. 1,000 gold is not going to make that much of a difference to either of these teams. Now, there's already some very big items complete for both sides. But again, Spain finally grouping as 5 and looking to make this push up the mid lane. They are taking the fight to DK, and we've seen time and time again how well that works for them when they can get the initiates. But I would like to see them wait for Aatrox to get his passive back up before they do take that fight.
Yeah, let's have a quick look. It is very close to being available once again, so it's not too long that they will have to wait. They had spotted Gamble down in that bottom lane and maybe looked to see that they could rotate around and maybe catch him out, but Gamble's just a little too quick on the way of getting back to his team, and the Spanish are kind of just moving around now. Of course, they do have that inhibitor down in the middle lane, which means they can spend a lot more of their time in this bottom lane, but there's good wave clear out from the Danes, and it means that really without a lot of help, the Spaniards aren't going to gain a lot of ground without catching one of the Danes out here.
So the super creeps are still there pushing mid. Wow, that Balor does a lot of damage to Thresh. Top lane has a massive wave of DK creeps, so it is pushing it away from them. It will turn around eventually because of how strong the buffed creeps on the Spanish side are, but it's going to take a while because of those numbers. But in a minute, the Baron is back up. At the moment, the wards all around there are Spanish, but DK need to make their move in. They need to try and take some control using that Oracle on Elise.
Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat there for a second. As people were talking about how there's no Ocelot in Spain, I just realised that
Ocelot has retired.
I was going to say, well,
actually, no, he's not retired. Sorry. He's not on SK.
Had the SK announcement come out a couple of days ago, he may have been available for this tournament, but he did, however, hold on to that announcement for a while. As you've seen,
he went
many
to the mountains.
I did. Yes, he did tweet that. So hopefully, he is having a good pilgrimage on behalf of esports, but
esports Dalai Lama.
That would be a good title for somebody to have, actually. But the purple inhibitor has respawned. Of course, that is red on colorblind mode. That is the inhibitor belonging to the Denmark team, and now they will look to establish control of this Baron area now that they know that they've secured that wave out for themselves. And of course, the bottom lane is starting to push in towards them, though. There is a cannon wave in that bottom lane on behalf of the Spanish team. Again, this is such an important game that neither really want to overextend, although saying that Frederick has done his best to put himself in a few precarious positions, but of course with the Spaniards leading this 1-0 in this best of 3, now is the time to be extra careful, as a win here would put them in 3rd place, but a loss would allow Denmark to tie this series up.
Clearing out those Baron wards again. Make sure they have vision of everyone as it happens. Bottom lane is being pushed again by another strong wave of creeps. DK may have to send someone to deal with that shortly. First, they're going to push out in the mid lane, but they're being completely surrounded. However, this is not a good position for Spain. Twitch is exposed. He's on his own. He's the one. It's 5 members of Spain coming around behind DK. They have forced DK to switch off to one side, though. Just need to be very careful as they don't have ward in that bush. back up towards the Baron as they can see the bottom lane again. There's a massive wave of creeps there. They have, in fact, finished off the turret, and if it keeps going, it will get the inhib. Those creeps will do that. DK switching up to push the mid lane, not the right call, because Spain are now grouped, and they're going to nuke down Godbro.
Oh, Godbro gets caught out to begin this one, and now the Danish team are in a very, very bad situation. Solar Flare only locks down Medina as the Spaniards are chasing on towards Santorin in that bottom lane. Nowhere to go off the rappel. Zig picks up the 1 kill as Mikau now forced out. Will use that explosive cask to try and land the damage down on Frederick, and the Spanish are chasing Mikau. I feel like they could just be heading straight up towards the base. That is where Frederick, and it looks like Zig will be heading. Mikau is trying to distract as best as possible, but really with this many kills already, the inhibitor has gone down in the bottom lane for the Spanish.
Beautiful flash hook coming out from Thresh at the end there to grab that Gragas. There was a slight split communication there from Spain at the start of that fight. They got Godbro, and then they split DK down the middle. Half the team went for Corki and Leona, half the team went for Gragas and Elise. If they'd all gone for one, then it might have ended up a bit better, but fact of the matter is, they did end up making that decision towards the end. And that decision was to go for Elise and Gragas, and it worked out for them. Thanks to the creeps grabbing that bottom turret as well. They've now got all 3 inhibitors.
Yeah, and I thought that they may not have been able to really close this one out straight away because they did have to go for that top inhibitor, but Godbro gets dropped once again in lightning speed. Gamble gets dropped very low as Aatrox continues a good game to go legendary here. Santorin tries to pick up a kill, but gets the Zhonya's there, and that is the 2nd win here in this series for Spain. A little bit of mispositioning, but they will take the 3rd place here at the IeSF World Championships with a quick 2. Well, actually, it wasn't a quick 2-0. It was a prolonged 2-0 over Denmark. Spain 3rd place, Denmark are 4th, and our grand finals comes up a little bit. But what a game! What a series from Denmark and Spain.
Very well played towards the end of that. I mean, I mentioned a lot. Spain got caught a lot. There was a couple of